The following clip is from the North to South Show, live every Monday and Wednesday at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, where we talk SEC football everything. Now, we'd love to have you out for next show, but for now, hit that like button down below, hit that subscribe button, and enjoy this clip. My just initial reaction to TJ Finley committing to Auburn over, I'm pretty sure Penn State and Alabama were in the conversation. I think Michigan was too. I did a segment on this earlier just talking about, can TJ Finley become the starter for Auburn? And I said it's not really out of reach. I think that there is a good probability if TJ goes in, puts the work in and everything, I think he has a good chance to start at Auburn. I do think out of those four teams that I just named, Auburn, Alabama, Penn State, and Michigan, I do think Auburn was definitely the best choice for him because he gets to stay in the SEC. I know no matter where you're going to choose out of those four teams, you're going to get the media attention. If you play good, you're going to get the attention there, whether it's at Michigan, whether it's at Penn State, whether it's at Auburn, whether it's at Alabama. But I think he wanted to stay in the SEC. And Alabama, the quarterback competition for the next coming years is going to be really, really, really tough with Bryce Young there. So I think all in all, Auburn is probably the team out of those teams there. I'd say Auburn and Michigan are the teams that you'd have the best chance at competing for a starting quarterback job. I'd then go Penn State. Sean Clifford's still the man there, but I think he's kind of got that locked up. There could be some competition there if he were to go there, but Alabama, I think they're still sticking with Bryce Young no matter what. So he ultimately goes to Auburn. The main concern for Auburn over the last couple of years, and we talked about this when I had my friends at the War Report come on this show to talk about Auburn's schedule breakdown and everything like that, talking about how Auburn's going to look this season, going game by game by game. And they really, really stressed the ability that this team last season and the last couple seasons, Bo Nix and this Auburn offense have not been able to travel on the road and perform to any level of success to be able to go and get some big wins. And Auburn plays some big road games this season. You look at obviously the Penn State game, the game where they go down to Happy Valley this season, which is an early season showdown, which I already did my preview on that, so definitely click that little notification up there to go watch that. You look at other games that they're going to travel this season. I think they go to LSU this year. Again, that's going to be another big game. So traveling on the road offensively is going to be a stress point for Bryan Harsin in his first season at Auburn. Not saying that he has to go in there and score 50 plus points every single game, every single road game that Auburn goes and plays, but performing consistently and performing successfully, that doesn't mean that you go out and get a win every single road game you play. Like going to Penn State and putting up 35 plus points but still losing the game, that is not going to be a problem on your offense. I'm not saying that that's going to happen because I do think Auburn has a very talented defense this season, but if your offense is able to travel to Happy Valley and let's say a whiteout game and put up 35 plus points, that is not a reflection on how your offense is played. That's a reflection on how your defense is played. So I think there is tons of room to grow for Bryan Harsin and this team offensively. And TJ Finley and Bo Nix's problem has been traveling on the road and just his performance there. I think TJ Finley is definitely a work in progress, but he has the talent to be something really special. I think you already know what you've got out of Bo Nix. I think that he's shown that over the last couple of years. I think that he's had more than enough chances to prove what he has at Auburn. And let's be honest, he still has some big wins. You look at the win against Oregon. I think that was his first start ever. He beats Oregon. He's beat Alabama before, which is something that not many teams, not many quarterbacks in the SEC can say at all. Bo Nix, just his problem is getting those big signature wins on the road. And TJ Finley, man, he's got the working pieces to be something successful at Auburn. I love the size of him. He's a pocket passer. He loves passing from the pocket, and he's not afraid to take hits. His problem is his footwork right now is a bit choppy. Sometimes he doesn't throw off the right foot, and his release is a bit off. He could release the ball just a bit quicker, and that's what I kind of went through in my initial video of just talking about can TJ Finley start at Auburn. But the pieces are there. The size is there. I think the arm is definitely there for TJ Finley to be a successful quarterback. And when he's on, he is on. He's throwing the ball accuracy. Love him throwing on the out routes and everything like that. I think he's got some downfield accuracy. TJ Finley, all in all, I think could be I don't know what I want to talk about this season because do I think that he could be a top 7 QB this season if Auburn gives him the chance and he's really able to take the most of it. I think that that's definitely possible. I'm talking top 4. I don't think that's possible for this year, but you start working this guy through when you have Matt Corral exit this season, when you have JT Daniels exit next season, and let's say TJ Finley goes out and has a really successful season this year, maybe you could see TJ Finley being a top 3 guy in the SEC for the next coming years. So lots to talk about there, lots of interesting stuff. When do I see TJ Finley taking the snaps for Auburn? Do I see it week 1? Do I see it after the Penn State game? Let's say that they start Bo Nix in Happy Valley and things just do not work out. Let's say Auburn only scores 1 touchdown offensively. They score 7 and it's not even on passing. It's just rushing. Bo Nix throws for 2 or 3 interceptions. Do I see it after that game? Do I see this as a mid-season thing where, let's say Auburn's already down 3-3 in their schedule. They've lost a couple of SEC opponents. They've won the games against, I think they play Georgia State. They play Alabama State, teams like that. Where do I see TJ Finley realistically coming in and starting for Auburn this season? The thing that worries me about Auburn, and the fact that I think the most notable thing for this will be Auburn fans want to know if he's going to be starting against Penn State or not, because the Penn State game is the big one out of all the first games. You play some group of 5 opponents early on and who cares? Bo Nix or TJ Finley starting, I don't think it's really going to change the outcome of that game. But the Penn State game, it definitely will. Can I see TJ Finley starting by that Penn State game? I think it really comes down to who's starting week 1. I believe that who starts week 1 will start week 3 against Penn State, because I just don't see any I just don't see any problems occurring against those 2 first games, which are both group of 5 opponents for Auburn this season. I mean, you go out, I'm pretty sure they play Alabama State first, and then it might be Akron who's second. I think that they're the next team on that board for Auburn. I can't remember who both of the teams are. I know that they also got Georgia State on there. But I just don't see any problems for whoever the starter is in either of those games. So I believe who's starting week 1 will go in and be the starter for that Penn State game. Honestly, I think right now, I still think Bo Nix will win the competition, or he's still going to be QB1 going into week 1. And I see TJ Finley taking over after week 4. Let's say Bo Nix. If Bo Nix is the quarterback for Penn State, that Penn State game, I see TJ Finley going in and taking over that role week 4 after that game. So that's kind of my initial thoughts on TJ Finley going to Auburn. I love the move, not only for TJ Finley, but also for Auburn. You got a good running back core over there in Auburn already. Obviously, Tank Bigsby and Shivers over there. I think that you definitely have some talent in the wide receiver core. You look at guys like Xavion Capers, really high on him. Other guys Auburn has the talent around him, and if you just get the right quarterback in your system and you just work through all these minor things that are making TJ Finley's game not as successful as it could be, you could find success at Auburn this season. So look for TJ Finley to have a successful career at Auburn. Very excited to see what he does there.